Yeah, boy, it is 2:02. I am Richard Dixon. This is Talk 99.5 and Talk99.5.com. This is a sign that you're getting older. I'm excited about my car insurance premium dropping. It is. My car insurance premium is going down as a result of a ticket falling off. The last ticket that I have, I got it several years ago, as a matter of fact, 3, maybe 4. I don't know how long it takes for tickets to fall off, but anyway, off your record. I remember I got it on 459, and I had just gotten on at the Trussville exit and hadn't gone even a mile when I got pulled over by a state trooper. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is a joke, right? I was doing like 78 or, close to 80. And you've been on 459, for the love of God. If you're not going 90, and sometimes when you are going 90, you're getting passed on that road. It's crazy. So I'm like, I'm getting pulled over for doing 80 in a 75? You got to be kidding me. And I said as much basically to the state trooper. I'm like, is this a joke? You're giving me a ticket for going 80 on 459? And he's like, well, you blew right past me. I was like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to get this ticket. And then we're going to drive off, and then he's going to have to pull out into traffic, and we're going to sit and watch people blow down 459 at 90 miles an hour, because everybody does. You've been on the road. You know I'm telling you the truth. It's the wild freaking West out there. Now, I stay in my car, and I put it in drive after he gives me the ticket, and I drive off, and I look in my rearview mirror, and he backs up to the previous exit and gets off. What a wuss. Anyway, the important thing is the ticket is off my record, and so my premium has dropped, and my friends at Stead, Denson, and Fuller made sure that my premium went down. They keep an eye on things like that, and they take good care of me, and I love them for it. If you would like insurance agents that are going to treat you the same way, these are the guys. They're locally owned and operated. They're in Homewood, right there on Crescent Avenue, and you can call them at 414-1476, 414-1476, Stead, Denson, and Fuller, online at steadandfuller.com. Megan Barth is with us, ReaganBabe.com, ReaganBabe.com. Read her stuff there. The Arizona audit info came out last Friday, and of course the press immediately began trying to issue confusing statements and misinterpreting it. But you and I both know what it said, right, Megan? How are you, by the way?
I'm doing great, Richard. How are you doing?
I am exquisite, as always. Yeah, I mean, did you read the Arizona audit results? Because it's a little frightening to find 49,700 ballots that are like, these are very questionable for a variety of reasons. Some of them because there's no chain of custody, some of them because they are from people who moved before the election. I mean, I find that extremely disturbing in a state that Joe Biden won by 11,000, 10,000 votes, something like that. 5 times the margin of error or the margin of win, questionable ballots, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the chain of custody is a huge issue, and you must maintain, ballots are like gold. You must maintain that chain of custody in order to transfer that custody back to the original voter. And that's what cannot be done. Additionally, over 17,000 duplicate ballots were found in just Maricopa County alone. Biden's margin of victory, as you stated, was between 10 and 11,000, exactly 10,457. So now we have about 50-some-odd thousand ballots from one county. This was not an entire Arizona audit. This was the Maricopa County audit in Arizona. And now Pima County, which is a border county, is also demanding an audit. On top of that, there are 41 legislators from a variety of states who wrote an open letter calling for audits in all 50 states. President Trump at his rally, in response to this audit, said it is clear Arizona must decertify. And lastly, Richard, the forensic auditors testified to something that I found incredibly shocking, and all of us should find shocking, is that the Maricopa County election database was wiped clean one day before the audit. Mm-hmm. So this was evidence that was destroyed, intentionally destroyed. Now, why would they destroy or wipe clean data? People who win elections don't destroy data.
I would agree. I do believe that the Maricopa County Elections Board, they knew that they didn't have a pristine election. And that's, I think, why they fought this thing tooth and nail, because for the same reason that originally Brian Kemp in Georgia was like, everything went great, nothing to see here, and Secretary of State Raffensperger, no, it was a perfect election, it was flawless. Now, of course, we found out it was anything but, which makes us look at all of these people, the Elections Board, the Secretary of State, the governors of these states. We look at them very askance and say, this is part of your job. We need you to pull off an election that's not just horribly flawed. And in this case, both Georgia and Arizona failed miserably in that task.
Miserably. And chain of custody, again, back to your original point, there really is no chain of custody when you put unmanned drop boxes in and around a county. So anyone can just drop a ballot for anybody, and they can drop multiple ballots. True the Vote, which is an excellent election integrity nonprofit, uncovered evidence that they've leaked a little bit, but they're going to, and they've given the evidence to the FBI, which is basically useless. The FBI is known for setting up terrorist attacks and ignoring pedophiles and kidnapping plots. But nonetheless, they found over 200 ballot traffickers in Georgia. Now, these ballot traffickers are otherwise known as ballot harvesters. They also found an equal amount, around 200 ballot traffickers in Arizona. And so these ballot traffickers were uncovered going to dozens of drop boxes every single day, dropping an unknown amount of ballots to the tune of hundreds a day. This is basically crime right under our noses, and the Secretary of States are so incredibly important to maintain voter rolls. And as you say, basically their one job is to make sure that the elections are fair, they're transparent, and they're secure. And Georgia, Arizona, and other states failed miserably.
Well, your own Nevada is certainly in that mix because, and they're not
absolutely.
even, by the way, bothering to do a look back. We know that Nevada did a terrible job. We know that how many 119-year-olds voted? That was like insane. It was a crazy number in Nevada, as I recall. And you're like, whoa, because the oldest person in the world, last I checked, was like 113. So we need to find these 119-year-olds and round them up and put them in the Guinness Book of World Records because they're not getting their due, apparently. Well, of course, those people aren't alive. Somebody was voting in their stead. The concept of mailing out ballots to everybody, every so-called registered voter, is it's a recipe for disaster, and yet it is exactly what the left wants to continue to do because they know perfectly well that it opens the door to massive fraud. And apparently they feel, even they seem to know that's the only way they're going to win going forward.
Well, and what's one of the first bills that Gavin Newsom signed when he was able to skirt recall? And that just happened, I think it was yesterday or the day before. He signed legislation that cements basically a Democrat majority into perpetuity because he signed mail-in voting into law. That's how Californians will now vote. If you recall, also, Judicial Watch reached an agreement with L.A. County to remove 1 million people from the voter rolls. They've never done it. So now you have a million extra ballots flying out to who knows who without any sort of chain of custody. And now those voter rolls are cemented. Basically, the dirty voter rolls are now cemented into law because California is now all mail-in. Democrats wouldn't want Democrats wouldn't want these laws if they helped Republicans. Democrats want these laws in order to secure their power.
By the way, the second thing Gavin Newsom signed into law, he signed yesterday, I believe, or early this morning, which was a bill that makes it legal for minors to have either abortions or start undergoing sex change operations without having to tell their parents. So at some point, California can just break off and drift into the sea without really... You would have oceanfront property at that point, wouldn't you? That'd be a good thing.
Yes, I always said that they should extend the wall right up to the border through Nevada. That would be a wonderful way to keep these California refugees out of my state who continue to vote for the same policies and the same types of politicians that caused them to flee California.
Well, if Hispanics continue to vote Republican and continue to lean Republican, then I think Democrats will be in favor of a wall. They're going to suddenly they're going to get real excited about a wall. Yes. Hold on, if you would, please, Megan. We'll hurry back. We got lots of other things to discuss here. 213 Talk 99.5, talk995.com. That song starts, second album, First Side, is called The Last Supper, and it goes on and on, of course, followed up by the Garden of Gethsemane, and then down through the arrest, Peter's denial, Pilate and Christ, and then eventually the song that we're going to hear next. Jesus Christ Superstar, the original recording that started the whole thing off, turns 50 this year. It was released in July of 1971. So we're just playing some of the cuts from it to celebrate that. Next week we'll have a completely different album, probably something celebrating, 35 years, 40 years, 45 years. We'll come up with something that's just perfect for you. Anthony & Company Jewelers has something that's just perfect for you. They have got the largest selection at the lowest possible price. Right there at 2080 Valleydale Road next to Ragtime Cafe, or online at anthonycojewelers.com. You can't go wrong with Anthony & Company because they've been at it for, 50 years. It's over 50 years right now. The first 23 were wholesale. And then they got into the retail business, and I've been going to them ever since. So I've been going there for about 25 years. A wonderful group of people that I trust implicitly to find the best stuff and get it to me at the great lowest price. I've done my research. I've shopped around. I no longer have to do those things because I know Anthony & Company does, in fact, have the best stuff at the lowest price. Now, if you are not convinced by me, go ahead and do your own shopping around, but don't buy anything until you've been through the door at the place that really deals in your satisfaction. Anthony & Company Jewelers, 2080 Valleydale Road, next to Ragtime Cafe. We're chatting with Megan Barth. ReganBabe.com is her website, and we've seen now General Milley and General McKenzie testifying before the House and the Senate committees. And two things have come out that are sort of a slap in the face. One is we were told by Joe Biden that every single general was on board with pulling out of Afghanistan. It was the right thing to do. And both of these guys have testified, no, we actually told them we should keep 2,500 guys there. So one of them is lying, obviously, either Biden or his generals. It doesn't really matter which one. Somebody is lying to us. The other one is that, Biden referred to this thing as a remarkable success, getting hundreds of 100,000 people out of Afghanistan. And yesterday, General Milley just referred to the withdrawal as a strategic failure. I don't know how you can look at 13 servicemen dead, hundreds of Americans left behind, Afghanis falling off of planes, a drone strike that kills innocent civilians. How do you call any of that an amazing success? But in the Biden administration, where a $3.5 trillion package will cost you $0 as far as he's concerned. Up is down, left is right, black is white. Nothing is making any sense anymore. I went through the looking glass, Megan. When did it happen?
Exactly, and we're only 8 months in. Or is it 9 months now? But nonetheless, and Jen Psaki says basically they're going to spend $3.5 trillion, but it's not going to cost us a dime. I really don't understand that, as you had mentioned. And astounding success. Well, the refugees that we took out of Afghanistan, who Biden told us were vetted, I'm not sure when they vetted them or how they vetted them, but so far there are at least 3, if not 4 of those refugees have committed sexual assault, at least a couple times. On the bases, the military bases where they're being held. And this is not uncommon. We see this, especially if you recall in Germany, who brought in a ton of Afghan refugees years ago, and their spike in violent crime against women, specifically sexual assault, went through the roof. And no, it wasn't German nationals committing sexual assault. It was Middle Eastern men committing these crimes. And only in the Biden administration can you look at something as a disaster and say it was a success, much like the border. They keep telling us that the border's not open. Yet we know that 1 million illegal aliens have now entered our interior with a slip of paper that tells them that they need to show up to court. We also know that 90% of them don't show up to court. And there's another caravan of 20,000 on the way, Mexico tells us, of not only Haitians, but Central Americans, Middle Easterners, et cetera, that are gathering in Mexico and just waiting, again, to either camp out under the bridge or penetrate the border. Once they basically cross into the border, they are no longer illegal because under the Biden administration, they have a catch and release program with these illegal aliens. And we are going to have to pay for that, too. But, of course, Jen Psaki will tell us it will cost zero. On top of that, we have now Border Patrol agents who we were told were whipping Haitian immigrants, which they were not. But that is the narrative. The lie traveled around the world before the truth had a chance to put on its shoes. So now those agents who are very well skilled that weren't whipping migrants are now at desk jobs. And we just heard today that Mayorkas, who is Cuban, by the way, who heads up the department, who won't let Cubans in. They won't let any Cubans in, but they'll let everybody else from third world countries into this country. You have to ask why. But now he's going to force vaccinations on the Border Patrol agents.
But not those who are coming across the border illegally, interestingly.
Right.
They're not getting vaccinated.
Only in a pandemic could Democrats say, fire all the nurses and open the borders. And that's exactly what they're doing.
You know, Harry Truman famously had a plaque on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." I believe that Joe Biden should get one made that says, "Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?" Because that's essentially what's going on here. A pleasure as always, Megan. We'll do it again next Wednesday. Have a great week in the meantime.
Very good. Thanks, Richard. You too.
There you are. Megan Barth, ReaganBabe.com, ReaganBabe.com. Read her stuff there. We'll be back with the last bits of Jesus Christ Superstar, with the last bits of pieces of news that I have, a few stories we have not yet gotten to. We haven't really touched on COVID much today. And, John Stossel is suing Facebook for $2 million. I wonder why. Little ragtime there. Just jumping up in the middle of this. It's called Herod's Song. It's when Jesus is sent to Herod for judgment. And I don't know who actually portrayed him on this album. I don't have his name in front of me. I know that in the movie it was Josh Mostel, Zero Mostel's son.
D-A-B-O, Dabo.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Great song. And it's the only song that Herod does. If you're going to play Herod in the musical, get this one song down. I've seen Herod done by a number of different characters. I have seen Herod done as a large, bald black man doing a very soulful version of that, which was quite funny. I have seen Herod portrayed as Elvis Presley, doing a very Elvis version of that song, and that is also exceptional. So you kind of make of it what you will, I guess. Every producer and director has their own version of what that should look like, and that is second to last tune that we'll hear today from the 50-year-old album Jesus Christ Superstar. Let's see here. Oh, I got to mention Mr. Bugs. Love them to death. They're so good. They come in, they wipe out the insects in my home. They get rid of the rodents. Well, don't have any. They keep them away, which is good. And then they keep the ones on the outside. You know, that's a pretty big deal because as the weather changes, we're going to start seeing more of this. When we start to get into the cold and the rainy weather, insects definitely want to be inside at that time. And so they start to find ways in. So whatever your neighborhood has, whatever your section of town is big on, they're going to be inside your house unless you have a great exterminator. And Mr. Bugs can treat you before the fact, to keep the bugs out, which is a big deal. Preventive maintenance. It's a wonderful thing. I use them. I think you should too. Mr. Bugs, MRBUGGS.com, MrBugs.com with 2 Gs. You will find that their prices are extremely reasonable, their techs are extremely knowledgeable, and the reason they've been in business for 40 solid years is that they know what the heck they're doing. 900-3433 or statewide at 844-MRBUGGS. All right, the medical journal The Lancet has decided to scrub their entire COVID origins team. There was a team that they had put together that was supposed to be investigating and looking into the origins of COVID. And then another periodical decided to investigate that team and found out that there were just many, many, many conflicts of interest. Some of them because they had connections to Wuhan and the lab there, some because they had connections to communist China, and that we were never going to get to the real bottom of it with this team, that really their main interest was going to be to cover for China. There's no question that that's what they were going to be doing. And so the Lancet decided to go ahead and disband the team and give up the fight on that. This is what happens, and we've seen this from the start. COVID stopped being a medical issue early and became a political football, and has been ever since. And I just cannot help but find it absolutely amazing. One of the things you'll hear repeatedly when our team in Washington, D.C., they're having a good time, I'm sure. I haven't been there in ages, but I remember having a great time last 2 times I was there. Dale Jackson is there, Matt Murphy is there, Val Vining is there, and they repeatedly are mentioning, this place is masked up. This place is so masked up. I'm the number one source for your information about masks, because the minute I run across any sort of research that shows that these pathetic cloth masks that everybody's wearing actually work, I will share it with you. But so far, we're into the double digits now of studies that have been done, double-blind studies, control studies, even just comparison studies of places that had mask mandates versus places that did not. And in every case, we have found that masks have made zero difference, none whatsoever. And the fact that you've got politicians that are enforcing mask mandates, like in the House, or you're enforcing mask mandates on schools and things of that nature, show that they're not really interested in the science. They're not interested in the medicine of this at all. They're interested in the control factor of it. Also, the Harvard School of Business, you might know them as one of the places Donald Trump graduated. He went to the Harvard Business School and was immensely successful thereafter, both in business and eventually as president of the United States. They have now gone to complete online learning, despite the fact that they had, are you ready, between the faculty and the students at the Harvard Business School, 96% vaccination rate. 96% vaccination rate, but they had an outbreak of breakthrough cases, and they said, well, we're just going to go back to home learning. We're going to go back to doing this on the computer. 96% vaccination rate. I don't know what more you want. That's pretty much as good as you're going to get. A 96% vaccination rate, and it didn't stop this thing. It's here. We're going to have to deal with it. It's going to keep changing. You canceling things, refusing to get together, putting the kibosh on football seasons and sports seasons and live theater and live shows is not the answer. The answer is get vaccinated to protect yourself from being hospitalized or dying from this, and, go on and live your life as best you can. It's here to stay. Hopefully at some point it dies down. We manage to get it somewhat under control. But don't play the political game that these people are playing. Don't allow them to play it with you, because they're not interested in fixing the problem. They're interested in using the problem to their own ends. John Stossel is suing Facebook for a very simple reason. John Stossel put 2 videos up on Facebook, and they decided that they were going to put fact-check labels on both of them. The interesting thing, John Stossel, great reporter, used to work for ABC. He's been on Fox Business. He's not on anything now, I don't think. I think he left that. I think he's retired, but he does some social media stuff, obviously. And he put up a couple of videos that were about global warming. And the 2 videos had to do with things like the cause of forest fires. As much as, global warming people wanted to say, well, this is because of global warming, Stossel points out, forest fires are continuing and maybe worse because of global warming, but they're not caused by global warming, and talked to several experts in the field who came up with exactly the same thing and said, that's global warming. Maybe it makes conditions a little drier because it's a little warmer, but other than that, the real problem here is that California has the worst land management practices in the world, and they refuse to rake their forests and get this underbrush out and whatever. Now, these are experts, and by the way, nobody at Facebook and none of the so-called fact-checking experts question any of the facts that are brought forth in this video, but they slapped a big old fact-check label on it anyway and said that it contains some untruths and misleading statements. And Stossel's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't contain any of those things, and you can't point to any of them. So here's a $2 million lawsuit for defamation of character. And by the way, the other one is has to do with global warming and how serious it is, and whether or not it's going to kill us all. And he essentially once again talks to a number of experts, does his standard interview style. I love Stossel. I mean, he's one of the last guys who shoots it straight, which I think is maybe why he's not on anymore. Nobody wants that. No one wants that for them. That is to say, nobody wants to hire that on their news network. But we want that. You and I want that more than anything nowadays. We want to be shot straight. So when Stossel puts out a video that says, global warming is here, it's definitely, global climate change is getting a little bit warmer. It's going to get a little bit warmer still, but even by the end of the next century, we're not talking about all being burned to a crisp or really there being any major change in our lifestyle or our crops or anything. It's not going to happen, not according to these experts. And he had climatology experts on from various schools, et cetera, et cetera. And they slapped a fact-check label on that. And he's like, $2 million lawsuit, defamation of character. I'll be interested to see how that goes. Because Stossel is the kind of guy who will follow it through. And hopefully, Facebook gets their feet held to the fire because they deserve to be held to the fire. Personally, I just don't use it for this kind of stuff. So, I guess if you want to play with Facebook, then you have to play by their rules. And I don't like their rules. That's why I don't play with Facebook much. I use it for big, stupid questions and cat videos. Boomer is in Sylacauga. He's got an answer to the big, stupid question of the day. Your go-to comfort movie, Boom. What is it, man?
First of all, do you know what they called Jesus Christ and 12 apostles?
What did they call them?
No, it's JC and the Sunshine Band.
JC and the Sunshine. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. All right, my go-to movie is Made in Heaven. It came out in '87. It starred Kelly McGillis and Timothy Hutton, but it cameoed Tom, Neil Young, and Rick Ocasek. And at the time, Deborah Winger was married to Timothy Hutton, and she played a male angel that was a chain smoker.
I got to check this out. I love Timothy Hutton, by the way. Big fan.
Made in Heaven. Check it out, brother.
I'll take a look. I appreciate it. I also like Kelly McGillis. Good stuff. Hey, our call waiting is still working. Let's talk to Ken in Irondale. Kenny, you're on Talk 99.5. What's on your mind, man?
Two things. If there's an argument for wearing masks in D.C., it'd be so you wouldn't breathe in all those corrupt, lying germs, if there is such a thing. Because, you'd hate to get up there maskless and come back just a bald-faced liar. Everything out of your mouth is
I caught a horrible case of lie disease. There's nothing I could do about it.
Yes, so don't ask me a question because I will lie. Another thing, and this just popped up. I wonder why General Milley will not give a straight answer. You wonder because the Democrats have proven that there is no length to which they will not stoop to, cover up whatever they want to do. And I wonder if Milley fears for his life because, most people would say it was. I mean, in a Republican regime, under a Republican presidency, it'd be, the president told me to do this, or the secretary or whatever. But Milley, you can't get a straight answer out of him, and I wonder if he fears for his life.
Or it could very well be that he's the one who made these decisions. So when he hems and haws, and when he's asked about who made that decision, the highest levels. In other words, I said to the president, we should do this. And they said, and the president said, okay. So, basically it was him. I think Milley is on the inside on this thing, and I think he's, he was the guy who largely oversaw the debacle that was Afghanistan. And for him to come out now and act like, this was something that happened to him instead of something that he was in charge of is damn near criminal. He left a bunch of Americans behind. He had the opportunity to address the president and tell him that this was unacceptable, and he chose not to do so. And I have no real sympathy for the dude at all.
Yeah, it's just weird what goes on these days, and that's just an understatement. Thirdly, and what I called the reason why I called to begin with is because you don't have a problem. Decorating the tree. I don't think you have a problem decorating the tree on Thanksgiving Day. One of the fondest memories of my younger children's childhood was that every Thanksgiving Day, my youngest daughter would decorate the tree. And when she was little, I would just put her on my shoulders and walk her around so that she could put the decorations that she wanted on the top of the tree. So by the time we ate the turkey, the tree was already decorated. And I start playing Christmas music on Thanksgiving Day. So I understand that. I'm glad you're sentimental when it comes to Christmas, because I understand that.
Love Christmas. I'm a Christmas freak.
I do too.
And there's no good reason for it, because I didn't have. I don't look back at it like my Christmases of my childhood were wonderful. They were okay. I just love Christmas. I'm a Christmas freak. There's just no good reason for it, and that's the way. Maybe a good psychologist could get to the bottom of it, but I don't really care. Thank you, Ken, and Merry Christmas to you. Hey, how about this? 2:45. We got to take a break. We'll come back, wrap this thing up, and hand it off to Leland Live. Stick around. There's the money song right there, the big one. Judas returning to sing that after he had committed suicide earlier in the musical. Strange. Nonetheless, Murray Head playing Judas there. He was later played by Carl Anderson, both in the movie and on Broadway. Carl Anderson, famous for being the husband of Gloria Loring at the time. It was a mixed marriage that drew a lot of questionable looks back in the 1970s. They eventually broke up. But on Broadway, when Carl Anderson took ill, I'm getting that exactly wrong. In the original Broadway production, Ben Vereen was cast as Judas, and when he took ill, it was Carl Anderson who came in and took over for him, and then they ended up swapping the role back and forth because the producers liked them both so much in it. All righty, it's 2:52. Holy cow, we better get to it. B.A. is on a cell phone answering the big stupid question of the day. What do you got, man?
Richard, good day, sir. I know I don't have much time, so I want to ask you a Eagles question real quick. In Hotel California, who would you consider the lead guitarist? And my big stupid answer would either be Caddyshack or True Romance. Thank you, sir. Roll Tide.
Thank you for the call. I love them both, by the way. Lead guitarist would be Don Felder, no question about it, because he wrote the song, and at the end, he and Joe Walsh do a back and forth. So, big stupid question of the day brought to you by Sentinel Firearms, sentinelfirearms.us. They're at 906 North 40th Street, a great place to visit. If you are interested in shooting, you should definitely swing by and get some done. Maybe take a class there, pick up one of the firearms they have available, or buy some ammo, because they have plenty of that. Lots of accessories as well. Gunsmithing, they can pretty much handle it all at Sentinel Firearms, sentinelfirearms.us. We got time to squeeze one more in. Let's go to Jerry, who is on a cell phone. Jerry, you're on Talk 99.5. What's on your mind?
Oh, hey there, Richard. Jerry here.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey, I got to answer a big stupid question there.
Your comfort movie, go-to comfort movie. What is it, Jerry?
Oh, yeah. Probably Brian's song. That's a good movie.
That's a comfort movie? That Brian Piccolo dies in that movie. I mean, why in the world? What do you? I mean,
the other one that I go to a lot is Kramer versus Kramer.
That's also just a depressing. What the hell is wrong with you? There's a divorce. That's just a nightmare of a film. Come on.
But it's got a kid in there and everything. I mean, it's kind of nice.
A pleasure as always, Jerry. Thank you for your call, sir. Have a lovely day.
I was expecting Schindler's List.
I had to cut him off before he got to Schindler's List as his third choice because I knew it was coming. All right, that's it for me. Leland Live comes your way next. I'll be back tomorrow at noon. Talk at you then. Richard Dixon, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Bye-bye now.